The silent watcher's Captain Sarah Chun pressed her palm against the cold metal wall of the observation deck, watching the stars shimmer beyond the reinforced glass. The exploration vessel Distant Hope had been drifting in the outer rim for 3 weeks, conducting routine surveys of uninhabited systems. Her crew of 38 had grown restless, eager to return to New Terra Colony, where their families waited. Sarah had spent 15 years exploring the galaxy's edge, mapping safe routes for human expansion. She was a quiet woman with sharp eyes and graying hair, known for her careful approach to unknown territories. Her ship was small but fast, equipped with the latest stealth technology that kept them hidden from the larger conflicts raging deeper in the galaxy. "Captain, we're picking up something unusual," called out Lieutenant David Park from the communications station. His voice carried an edge of excitement that made Sarah turn away from the window. David was young and eager, always the first to detect interesting signals from space. Sarah walked to his station, her boots clicking softly on the metal floor. "What kind of signal?" "It's a broad-spectrum transmission, very powerful. Coming from the Nexus system, about 40 light-years from here." David's fingers danced over his controls, fine-tuning the reception. "It's in multiple languages, Captain. Looks like some kind of official announcement." The Nexus system was neutral territory, a place where different alien species sometimes met for trade or negotiations. No human ship had ever ventured there, and humans had certainly never been invited to participate in galactic politics. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "Put it on the main screen," she ordered. The bridge crew gathered around as the transmission came through. The image was crystal clear, showing a massive creature with blue-scaled skin and 4 arms standing behind an ornate podium. This was a Krillian, one of the 2 species that had been fighting the galactic war for over 800 years. The creature's voice was deep and resonant when it spoke. "Citizens of the galaxy, today marks the end of 8 centuries of conflict. The Krillian Empire and the Vorthic Dominion have reached a historic peace agreement. The war is over." Sarah felt her heart skip a beat. The war that had consumed half the known galaxy was ending. Her crew began to murmur with excitement, but something in the alien's tone made her listen more carefully. "All territories not currently claimed by either empire will be divided equally between our 2 civilizations. Survey fleets are being dispatched immediately to catalog and colonize these new worlds. The galaxy enters a new era of peace and prosperity under our joint governance." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Sarah's mind raced as she processed what she had just heard. Unclaimed territories. The phrase echoed in her head like a warning bell. "Lieutenant Park, send an encrypted message to Earth Command. Priority Alpha. Tell them we need to speak with Colonial Defense immediately." "Yes, Captain." "What should I tell them about the content?" Sarah looked at her crew's hopeful faces. They were celebrating the end of a war, not understanding the implications. "Tell them the aliens have declared peace, and they're coming for our worlds." 3 days later, Sarah stood in the communication chamber of the Distant Hope, looking at the weathered face of Admiral Marcus Stone on her screen. Behind him stood President James Morrison, a tall man with silver hair and worried eyes. Both men had been leaders during humanity's quiet expansion into space, always careful to avoid the attention of the warring aliens. "Captain Shun, we've reviewed your report," Admiral Stone said. His voice was gravelly from years of commanding ships in the depths of space. "Are you certain about the scope of their territorial claims?" "Yes, sir." The broadcast was clear. "They're dividing all unclaimed space between them. That includes every human colony outside the Sol system." President Morrison leaned forward. "How many colonies are we talking about, Captain?" 53 confirmed settlements, Mr. President. About 12 million people total. They're scattered across this entire sector. The president's face grew pale. Admiral, what's our defensive capability? Our colonies have basic patrol ships and defensive platforms, but nothing that could stop a real invasion force. We focused on staying hidden and avoiding conflicts with the larger galactic powers. Sarah watched the exchange with growing unease. She had known Earth maintained a small fleet, but the reality of their situation was becoming clear. Humanity had spent centuries building a peaceful civilization while two alien empires fought for control of the galaxy. Now those empires were at peace, and humans were in their way. What about our main fleet? The president asked. Admiral Stone's expression changed slightly. Mr. President, that's classified information. Admiral, I think the situation calls for full disclosure. Stone was quiet for a moment, then nodded. We have been building ships in secret for the past 200 years. Hidden shipyards in asteroid belts, automated construction facilities in dead systems. The aliens were so focused on fighting each other that they never noticed. How many ships? Sarah asked. 2,500 vessels, Captain. Everything from fast attack craft to heavy battleships. All built with the most advanced technology we could develop. Sarah felt her breath catch. She had known Earth was preparing for potential threats, but she had never imagined such a massive undertaking. Where are they now? Hidden throughout the outer systems, waiting. We hoped we would never need them. President Morrison stood up and began pacing behind his desk. Captain Chun, how long before the aliens discover our colonies? Hard to say, sir. They're sending survey fleets to map their new territories. Could be weeks, could be months, but they will find us. And when they do? Sarah thought about the Krillian's arrogant tone, the casual way he had spoken about claiming territory. They'll expect to find empty worlds ready for colonization. They have no idea we exist. Admiral Stone activated a holographic display showing the galaxy's current political divisions. The Krillians control the northern sectors. The Vorthik hold the south. They've drawn a line right through the middle of human space. What do we know about their military capabilities? The president asked. Both species are formidable warriors, Stone replied. The Krillians use massive ships with heavy armor and energy weapons. The Vorthik prefer swarm tactics with smaller, faster vessels. Both have been fighting continuously for 8 centuries. Sarah studied the tactical display. That might be their weakness, sir. They've been fighting the same enemy for so long, they might not know how to adapt to different tactics. What do you mean, Captain? They know each other's strategies perfectly. Krillian charges, Vorthik swarms. They've been playing the same game for 800 years. They've never faced an enemy that fights differently. Admiral Stone smiled grimly. And we fight very differently indeed. The president stopped pacing and looked directly at Sarah through the screen. Captain, I want you to continue your survey. Mission, but stay hidden. We need to know where the alien fleets are going and what they're planning. Yes, sir. And Captain, this conversation is classified at the highest level. Your crew is not to know about our hidden fleet. Understood. Mr. President. The communication ended, leaving Sarah alone with her thoughts. She walked back to the bridge where her crew was working at their stations. They looked relaxed, still believing the end of the war meant peace for everyone. Asterisk. Lieutenant Park, set course for the Kepler sector. We need to check on the colonies there. Yes, Captain. Any particular reason? Sarah looked out at the stars, thinking about the 12 million humans living on peaceful worlds, completely unaware that 2 alien empires were about to discover them. Just routine patrol, Lieutenant. Just routine. As the distant Hope changed course toward human space, Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. The aliens had declared the war was over. They had divided the galaxy between themselves like it was a piece of territory on a map. They had made one crucial mistake in their calculations. They had forgotten to ask humanity what they thought about it. 2 weeks later, Sarah's worst fears began to come true. The distant hope was hiding in the asteroid belt around New Terra Colony when her sensors detected something that made her blood run cold. "Captain, we have contacts approaching the system," reported Lieutenant Park. 27 ships. Krillian configuration. They're big, Captain. Really big. Sarah moved to the tactical display and studied the approaching fleet. The Krillian ships were massive, each one the size of a small city. They moved in perfect formation, their dark hulls bristling with weapons and sensor arrays. "Are they scanning?" "The planet?" she asked. "Yes, Captain. Full spectrum analysis. They're mapping everything." Sarah watched as the alien ships took up positions around New Terra Colony. On the planet's surface, 12,000 humans went about their daily lives, completely unaware that their world was being studied by beings who considered it their property. "Lieutenant, send a coded message to all human colonies. Use the emergency. Frequency. Tell them to prepare for immediate evacuation." "Captain, what should I tell them about the reason?" Sarah looked at the Krillian fleet surrounding the planet where her sister lived with her children. The aliens had declared the war was over, but they were about to learn that some wars don't end when you declare them over. Sometimes they end when the right people decide to fight. "Tell them the galaxy is about to change," she said quietly, "and humanity is about to make its presence known." The reckoning begins. Commander Elena Vasquez adjusted her formal diplomatic uniform one final time before stepping aboard the transport shuttle. The sleek vessel Prometheus floated behind her in space, humanity's first official diplomatic ship, designed specifically for alien contact. She had spent 2 months learning everything available about Krillian culture, preparing for what everyone hoped would be a peaceful resolution. "Are you ready, Commander?" asked Captain Robert Hayes, the ship's commanding officer. He was a steady man with kind eyes who had volunteered for this dangerous first contact mission. "As ready as anyone can be," Elena replied, trying to sound more confident than she felt. Her hands trembled slightly as she thought about the weight of representing all of humanity in this crucial moment. The shuttle approached the Krillian command station orbiting their homeworld of Krilla Prime. Through the viewport, Elena could see a massive structure of black metal and gleaming crystal, surrounded by hundreds of warships that had recently returned from 8 centuries of conflict. "Approaching Krillian Space Command," announced the pilot. "They're directing U.S. to Docking Bay 7. Elena watched as they passed through the station's defensive grid. Krillian ships moved around them like metallic sharks, their hulls scarred from years of warfare. She had studied their technology extensively, but seeing it in person made her realize just how powerful these beings truly were. The shuttle docked with a soft thud, and Elena took a deep breath before stepping outside. 3 Krillians waited for her in the docking bay. The largest one, with deep purple scales and wearing what appeared to be a military uniform, stepped forward. "I am War Commander Thane of the Krillian Empire," he said in heavily accented English. His voice sounded like grinding metal. "You are the human representative?" "Commander Elena Vasquez, representing the United Human Colonies," she replied formally. Thane looked her up and down with obvious disdain. "Follow me. High Commander Raider will see you now." They walked through corridors filled with Krillian officers and soldiers. Elena tried not to stare, but it was difficult. The Krillians were all tall and powerfully built, with scales that ranged from deep blue to purple. Many bore scars from battles, and their eyes held the hardness of beings who had known only war. The command center was enormous, with walls covered in tactical displays showing fleet movements across the galaxy. High Commander Raider stood at the center, studying a holographic map of space. He was older than the others, with silver scales and eyes that seemed to glow with intelligence. "So, he said without looking up. Humans finally reveal themselves. We wondered when your species would crawl out of hiding. High Commander, I'm here to discuss the recent territorial divisions and how they affect human space. Elena began diplomatically. Raider finally turned to face her, and Elena felt a chill at the cold calculation in his eyes. Human space? You mean the empty worlds we've graciously decided to colonize? Those worlds aren't empty, High Commander. They're home to over 12 million humans across 53 colonies. Colonies? Raider laughed, a sound like breaking glass. You mean the scattered settlements we've been monitoring for the past 50 years? Elena felt her heart sink. Monitoring? Of course. Did you think we were blind? We've known about your little expansion for decades. Your people make excellent subjects for study. The words hit Elena like a physical blow. Subjects? Oh, yes. We've been collecting specimens from your outer colonies for years. Fascinating creatures, humans, so adaptable, so resilient. The Vorthik have been doing the same thing. Elena's hands clenched into fists. You've been kidnapping our people? Kidnapping is such an ugly word, Raider said casually. We prefer specimen collection. We've gathered several thousand over the years. They've provided valuable insights into human biology and psychology. How many? Elena demanded, her diplomatic composure cracking. Does it matter? There are always more where they came from. Raider returned to his tactical display. Here's what we're prepared to offer. 8 small worlds in the outer rim, far from anything important. In exchange, you'll provide us with your agricultural technology and accept Krillian protection. That's completely unacceptable. Is it? Then perhaps you'd prefer nothing at all. In fact, I think we'll expand our specimen collection. Your people are so trusting, so easy to capture. Elena stared at the High Commander, thinking about the thousands of humans who had been taken from their homes, families who had no idea what had happened to their loved ones. You're talking about slavery. We're talking about reality, Raider replied coldly. Your species has no military power, no influence, no allies. You exist because we allow you to exist. The Vorthik have offered even less generous terms. What? Are there terms? Complete absorption into their collective. Your people would become workers in their hive structure. At least under Krillian rule, you'd maintain some autonomy. Elena felt sick. The 2 most powerful species in the galaxy saw humanity as nothing more than a resource to be exploited. We need time to consider your offer. You have 1 standard week. After that, we begin full colonization of your worlds. Any humans who resist will be treated as hostile forces. Elena left the command station with her mind reeling. As her shuttle returned to the Prometheus, she composed her report to Earth Command. The diplomatic mission had been a complete failure. The aliens didn't see humans as equals. They saw them as specimens to be studied and used. Commander, said Captain Hayes as she returned to the ship, how did the negotiations go? Badly, Elena replied. Very badly. Send an encrypted message to Admiral Stone. Tell him that peaceful solutions are no longer possible. Meanwhile, in a hidden asteroid base 300 light-years away, Admiral Marcus Stone received Elena's report and immediately activated humanities. Most closely guarded secret. The base, known only as Sanctuary, had been built over the course of 50 years in the hollowed-out interior of a massive asteroid. It was completely invisible to alien sensors, protected by advanced stealth technology, and surrounded by automated defense platforms. All fleet commanders to the briefing room, Stone announced over the base's communication system. Operation Homecoming is now active. The briefing room filled with humanity's finest military officers. Admiral Stone looked at their faces and saw determination, anger, and fear in equal measure. These men and women had trained their entire lives for a war they hoped would never come. Ladies and gentlemen, Stone began. 3 hours ago, Commander Vasquez concluded diplomatic negotiations with the Krillian Empire. The aliens have made their position clear. They consider us to be animals, suitable only for study and exploitation. The room erupted in angry voices. Stone raised his hand for silence. The Krillians have offered us 8 worlds in exchange for our technology and submission. The Vorthic have offered us slavery. Both species have been capturing our people for decades. Captain Maria Santos, commander of the battleship Defiance, stood up. Admiral, what are our orders? We're going to get our people back, Stone said simply. We're going to protect our colonies. And we're going to show these aliens that humanity is not weak. The tactical display activated, showing the positions of alien fleets throughout human space. Intelligence indicates that both the Krillians and Vorthic are moving survey fleets toward our colonies. They expect to find defenseless worlds ready for occupation. Instead, Stone continued, they're going to find us. Colonel James Murphy, commander of the Marine Corps, raised his hand. Admiral, what about the captured humans? Do we know where they're being held? Intelligence has identified several prison facilities in both Krillian and Vorthic space. Colonel, your Marines will be leading the rescue operations. Murphy nodded grimly. He was a veteran of dozens of colonial conflicts, but this would be his first action against alien forces. Captain Santos, you'll be commanding the first battle group. Long-range sensors show a Krillian fleet of 35 ships moving toward the Aurora colony. They expect to find an empty world. Instead, they'll find you. How many ships do I get, Admiral? 15. Our ships are faster and more maneuverable than theirs. More importantly, we've had 200 years to study their tactics while they ignored us completely. Stone activated another display showing detailed analysis of alien combat doctrines. The Krillians use straightforward assault tactics. They charge directly at their enemies and try to overwhelm them with firepower. The Vorthic rely on swarm attacks and boarding actions. Both strategies worked against each other, added Captain Lisa Chun, the fleet's tactical specialist. But they won't work against us. Why not? Asked Captain Santos. Because we don't fight like either of them, Stone replied. We use coordinated attacks, flexible formations, and unpredictable tactics. We've been studying their methods for decades, while they've been focused on each other. The briefing continued for 2 hours as Stone outlined the battle plan. Humanity's hidden fleet would emerge from concealment and strike at alien forces throughout human space. The element of surprise would be crucial, as would the speed and coordination that human forces had perfected during years of secret training. Remember, Stone concluded, we're not just fighting for territory. We're fighting for our families, our freedom, and our future. The aliens made the mistake of thinking we were weak. They're about to learn otherwise. 6 hours later, Captain Santos stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching as the Krillian fleet approached Aurora colony. The alien ships were massive and intimidating, their dark hulls bristling with weapons that had destroyed countless enemies over 8 centuries of war. Captain, reported her tactical officer, the Krillians are beginning orbital scans of the colony. They're expecting to find an uninhabited world. Santos smiled grimly. All ships, this is Santos. Remember the plan. Hit them fast, hit them hard, and don't give them time to think. The 15 human ships dropped out of stealth mode simultaneously, appearing around the surprised Krillian fleet like ghosts materializing from the void. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Incoming transmission from the Krillian flagship, reported the communications officer. On the main screen, a Krillian commander with bright blue scales appeared. Human vessels, you are in violation of Krillian space. Surrender immediately, or be destroyed. This is Captain Santos of the Human Colonial Defense Force, she replied calmly. You are in violation of human space. Leave now, or face the consequences. The alien commander's eyes widened in surprise. 15 small ships against 35 battle cruisers? You must be insane. Maybe, Santos said, but you're about to find out. The battle that followed was unlike anything the Krillians had ever experienced. Human ships moved with precision and speed that seemed impossible, striking from unexpected angles and disappearing before the aliens could respond. While the Krillians tried to form their traditional battle lines, human vessels darted between them like angry wasps, targeting weak points and exploiting every tactical advantage. Within 2 hours, 20 Krillian ships had been destroyed or disabled, and the remainder were retreating in confusion. The aliens had never faced an enemy that refused to fight by their rules. Similar battles were erupting across human space as Admiral Stone's plan unfolded. At the same time, Colonel Murphy's Marines were assaulting the prison facilities where humans had been held captive for decades. The rescue operation at Detention Facility Omega was particularly fierce. Murphy's forces landed on the asteroid base. Under heavy fire, fighting through automated defenses and alien guards to reach the human prisoners. "Colonel," one of his sergeants called over the radio, "we found them. Section C, levels 5 through 8. There are hundreds of them." Murphy fought his way through the prison complex, past dead alien guards and shattered security barriers. When he reached the detention levels, he stopped in amazement. The humans inside were thin and pale from years of captivity, but they were alive. Men, women, and children who had been taken from their homes looked up at him with hope in their eyes. "Are you here to rescue us?" asked an elderly woman with tears streaming down her face. "Yes, ma'am," Murphy replied, his voice thick with emotion. "We're taking you home." As the rescue operations continued throughout alien space, the galaxy began to understand that something fundamental had changed. The species that had been dismissed as weak and primitive were proving to be anything but. Human ships were outfighting veteran alien fleets, and human soldiers were successfully raiding the most secure facilities in known space. On Krilla Prime, High Commander Raider stared at the tactical displays showing the destruction of his fleets. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "They're just humans." "Sir," reported one of his officers, "we're receiving reports from 17 sectors. Human ships are appearing everywhere. They're not fighting like anything we've seen before." Raider's scaled face twisted with rage and confusion. For 800 years, he had fought the Vorthik using the same tactics, the same strategies. Now these humans were using methods that made no sense, tactics that shouldn't work, but somehow did. "Send a message to all human forces," he ordered. "Tell them we're prepared to negotiate." The message was transmitted across the galaxy, but it was Admiral Stone who answered from his command ship. "High Commander Raider, this is Admiral Stone of the Human Colonial Defense Force. We're prepared to accept your unconditional surrender." Raider's eyes blazed with fury. "Surrender? You think your little fleet can defeat the Krillian Empire?" "High Commander, we just did," Stone replied calmly. "Your fleets are retreating from every human system. Your prison facilities have been liberated. Your 800-year-old war is over, but now you're fighting us. And we're not playing by your rules." The communication ended, leaving Raider staring at his tactical displays in shock. The humans had done the impossible. They had taken on 2 galactic superpowers simultaneously and won. The war had indeed ended, but not the way anyone had expected. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their ships. It was their refusal to give up, their determination to protect their own, and their ability to fight for something worth fighting for. The aliens had declared the war was over. They had been wrong. Asterisk.